Lily stood in front of the dollhouse, her fingers trembling as she held the little red-dressed doll. Her heart was still pounding in her chest, her breath coming in short bursts as the silence in the shop pressed in on her. The eerie feeling of being watched was gone, but a strange weight remained in the room. It was as if the entire shop was holding its breath, waiting for something more to happen. She glanced at the dollhouse, now eerily still, its windows dark and lifeless. It no longer seemed alive, but the unease inside her remained. Something about it still didn't feel right. It felt like there was more to this cursed house than what she had just witnessed. "Mom, I don't know what's going on," Lily whispered, looking toward the shop door. She had to tell her mother what had happened. She had to explain everything, but the words were hard to find. Her mother, Sarah, had just returned from her errands and was making her way into the shop. Lily rushed to her, holding the doll close to her chest, afraid that if she let go of it, it might disappear. "Mom, it's real. The dollhouse. It's alive. The dolls were moving. The voices, the whispering. It's all true," Lily cried out. Sarah looked at her daughter, her face filled with concern. "Lily, calm down. You're just scared. It's late, and you've been in the shop alone too long. You've got an overactive imagination." But Lily knew what she had heard, what she had seen. Her fingers clutched the doll tighter, and her eyes stayed locked on the dollhouse. Something told her that the house was still waiting for the next move. "I know what I saw, Mom," Lily said quietly, her voice trembling. "The dolls, they were alive, they moved, and the little girl, she spoke to me." Sarah took a deep breath, trying to stay calm for her daughter. "There's nothing to be afraid of, Lily. The dollhouse is just old. It's probably just the wind making things creak. It happens with old houses." But Lily wasn't convinced. She glanced once more at the dollhouse, half expecting to see the dolls staring back at her, waiting for her to do something, to let them out. As the evening wore on, the two of them worked together to tidy up the shop, but the air in the room still felt heavy. Lily kept looking over her shoulder, certain that something would move. The dolls seemed to watch her, their glassy eyes reflecting the faint light of the lamp. She knew her mother didn't believe her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something dark and ancient was hidden within that dollhouse. Later that night, after her mother had gone to bed, Lily lay awake in her room. The whispers still echoed in her mind, soft and haunting. "Help me." The words seemed to crawl into her thoughts, refusing to leave. It was as if the dolls were calling out to her, reaching out from the depths of the house. They had been trapped there for so long, and Lily was the one who had broken their curse. She could still feel the lingering presence of the little red-dressed doll in her hands. The voice, the whisper, had called her to action, and she had broken the spell. Or so she thought. But now, lying in bed, she wondered if she had truly done what she had set out to do. What if the curse wasn't really broken? What if the dolls were just waiting for the right moment to come back? Lily knew she had to find out. There was something more. Something that wasn't finished. Something that needed to be uncovered. In the middle of the night, unable to sleep, Lily decided to return to the shop. She knew her mother wouldn't wake up, and she couldn't ignore the nagging feeling inside her any longer. The dollhouse was calling to her. With her heart racing, Lily grabbed a flashlight from her drawer and crept out of her room. The house was quiet, the only sound the soft creak of the wooden floors beneath her feet. She made her way down the stairs and into the shop, the beam of her flashlight cutting through the darkness. The dollhouse sat in its usual spot, bathed in the dim light of the street lamp outside. It looked harmless, almost innocent, like any other dollhouse. But Lily knew better. She could feel it, deep in her bones. The house was waiting for her. The moment she touched the dollhouse again, the air in the shop changed. It became colder, the air thick with an oppressive stillness. She shivered as she carefully opened the front door, just like before. As soon as the door creaked open, the same eerie noise filled the room, the sound of footsteps. Soft, muffled footsteps like someone was moving inside the house. Lily's heart skipped a beat. She had to be imagining things. But then she saw it. The little girl doll in the red dress was no longer where she had left it. The doll was gone. Her eyes scanned the inside of the dollhouse, and there, in the far corner, she saw the little girl doll. It was standing, facing the corner, as though it was waiting. Slowly, the doll turned its head, its eyes locking with Lily's. It was as if the doll was alive, its movements deliberate and controlled, just like a human being. Lily stumbled backward, her flashlight trembling in her hands. "What is going on?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Suddenly, the whisper came again, but this time it wasn't just one voice. There were several voices, each one pleading, crying out for help. "Help me! Help me!" The voices came from the dolls, each one seeming to come to life in its own way. Lily's breath caught in her throat. She could see the dolls moving, their limbs twitching as if they were waking up after a long slumber. The little girl doll in the red dress took a slow step forward, then another, and another. She was moving toward Lily. "Help me!" The voice was louder now, more desperate, almost pleading. The dolls began to move around the dollhouse, each one taking slow, deliberate steps, their eyes fixed on Lily. She wanted to run, to get out of there, but her legs wouldn't move. She was frozen, unable to tear her gaze away from the creeping dolls. Lily finally managed to move, her legs shaky beneath her. She backed away, her heart racing as the dolls followed her with their lifeless eyes. It was as if the curse was coming alive again, more powerful than before. In a panic, she grabbed the red-dressed doll and held it up. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice trembling. "Please, stop!" For a moment, everything was still. The doll stopped moving. The whispers faded. And then, all at once, the room seemed to exhale. The chill in the air disappeared, and the oppressive feeling lifted. The dolls froze in place again, their eyes once again glassy and lifeless. Lily stood there for what felt like an eternity, the doll still in her hand. She had done it again. She had stopped the curse, but she didn't know for how long. With trembling hands, she carefully placed the doll back in its spot and closed the dollhouse. She quickly turned and ran out of the shop, not stopping until she was safely back in her room. The next morning, Lily's mother found her sitting quietly at the kitchen table, her eyes wide with fear. Sarah noticed the dollhouse was back in its place, still locked, as it had been before. "Lily, what's wrong?" Sarah asked, her voice soft with concern. "I don't think it's over, Mom," Lily whispered. "The curse, it's still there. The dolls are still watching." Sarah glanced at the dollhouse, her expression serious. "Then we have to get rid of it for good." But Lily wasn't sure if getting rid of it was enough. The dollhouse had a power of its own, and no matter what they did, it might never truly be gone.